this is so obscene. I'm just astonished that Ron DeSantis actually thinks this is going to make him president in 2028. I mean, he's clearly, he's got the bug, right? He's going to run for president in 2028. He's trying to position himself that way. He will no longer be governor of Florida at the time. I believe his term expires in 2026, and he's term limited out. Fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case. But in any case, he is now trying. He knows where the money is, right? The money in America, the political money in America, is with billionaire oil men. And if you really want to be a candidate for president on the Republican side, as Donald Trump, the other day talking to a bunch of billionaire oil men, hey, give me $1 billion and I'll do what you want. I mean, the money is with the billionaire oil people. And to a lesser extent, the coal and natural gas people. It's the coal people that support Joe Manchin and most other, and now Jim Justice, who's running for the Senate from West Virginia. So Ron DeSantis comes out yesterday and signs House Bill 1645. It was probably written by the fossil fuel industry. I don't know, but it's certainly written by, promoted by, and passed by Republicans over the outspoken objections of Democrats in the state of Florida. The legislation removes from state law 50 different lines of text that were established by Charlie Crist, who was then a Republican. He's a Democrat now, but he was the governor back in 2008. And the Crist administration required the State Department of Agriculture, the State Department of Consumer Services, and the state generally to establish clean energy goals. So number one, this legislation just stripped all that out. So in Florida, officially now, according to Ron DeSantis and the Republicans, pollution is just fine with us. You want your kids to get asthma? You want you and your kids to die of cancer from all that particulate pollution that trucks and cars are spewing out all day long? Yeah, it's just great. Number one. Number two, also what will be removed is a provision in Florida law that, quote, says we must address the potential of global climate change as state energy policy, and the state must, quote, play a leading role in developing and instituting energy management programs aimed at promoting energy conservation, energy security, and the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. All of that just got blown out. Removed from Florida law, removed from the state's guidelines, removed from the state's goals. We are no longer concerned about energy conservation in Florida. They are no longer concerned about energy security in Florida. They are no longer concerned about gas emissions in Florida. Keep in mind, this is the state where in some cities they're having to install giant electric pumps because the ocean has been rising and it's now starting to infiltrate into the city's streets on high tides. They call them king tides now. It also removes a provision that all state agencies must contract with, when state agencies hire meeting space or convention space, from hotels and things like that, they must only use facilities that got a green lodging designation by the Department of Environmental Protection for best practices in water, energy, and waste efficiency standards. Now you can just do it at any old place. It doesn't matter if they're green or not. It also prevents local governments from enacting some energy policy restrictions. I'm reading here from a summary of this. It was published on Daily Kos by Florida Phoenix. Also prevents local governments. So this is basically the state saying to local governments, we don't believe in local control. The Republican Party, the small government Republican Party, are going to tell you what you can't do. Mr. and Mrs. City or town or county. You may not have energy policy restrictions. You may not prohibit the construction or expansion of offshore wind facilities. You may not put wind turbines within a mile of the coast. So no wind energy, at least, near the coast. This is the same guy. This last year, DeSantis was offered $350 million by the federal government now keep in mind, this is the Sunshine State, to install solar panels all over the state to help power the state. And Ron DeSantis turned down the $350 million, said, we don't want that money. We're not interested in green energy. We like fossil fuels. Then following that, the federal government, in another piece of legislation, offered the state of Florida $320 million to reduce vehicle emissions and to repair infrastructure as part of the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act. And Ron DeSantis turned that down too. This is the new Republican, whatever you call it, the executive director of the executive director of the Sierra Club Florida said Floridians are on the front lines of rising sea levels, rising extreme heat, rising property insurance prices, more frequent floods, and more severe storms. Absolutely. In fact, I saw earlier today a tweet from Florida that Key West had a 115-degree day. Not actual temperature, but real feel, I guess it's called. But this is unprecedented for May. It's starting. Florida's going to get whacked with weather. And, DeSantis doesn't care. He's a Republican. He wants that money from the fossil fuel industry. He knows these fossil fuel billionaires, they don't give a damn about the future of our planet. They just want their money. And he wants his money. The Florida Phoenix writes, the bill signing came one day after a poll of 1,400 Floridians found that 68% say the state government should do more to address climate change, and only 40% of Republicans believe that climate change is caused by human activity. 60% of Republicans are climate deniers. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that pathetic? And dangerous. It's just incredible.